Focus. Hello and welcome to the Made to Connect podcast, the second episode. Today's topic is bettering yourself. I'm super hyped to talk about this because I feel like it's a much needed topic. People, sometimes miss or sometimes don't really bring up enough. So I'm praying we're going to dive right into it. Lord, please speak to me to get to the viewer, to maybe encourage them to do something, or to maybe so that they could see another aspect of my relationship with you and their relationship with you, God. I ask that you bless this podcast. Let it go swellingly. In Jesus' name, amen. Bettering yourself. I'm going to start with a question, a kind of important question that probably a lot of people ask, which is, why should we better ourselves? Why can't we just stay the same? Well, whenever you get saved, you aren't the same. You are now a new creation. I have some verses actually that I picked out for this podcast. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this age, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may discern what is the good, pleasing, and perfect will of God. So, talking about conforming to the world, which we'll talk about. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and see, the new has come. About what I was just talking about. And then the last one that I really like, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and sound judgment. To answer the question, why should we better ourselves? I think the best answer I have to that, and everybody's probably going to have a different answer or maybe a different take on it, but I think it's to grow your relationship with God and to seek Him actively. I constantly tell myself I don't want to be a passive Christian. What I mean by that, I don't want to be lukewarm. I want to be someone who's actively working and doing things to get closer to God and to honor and glorify Him in my daily life. That's kind of like I'm trying to better myself every day to grow closer to God, to honor and glorify Him in everything I do, to seek that relationship actively. So with those verses, we are a new creation. We were made new, so we should work on our new selves. God has given us all the supplies we need to work on ourselves. He's given us everything we need to become a better Christian, to seek His relationship. And I want to break it up into three categories. We have spiritual, mental, and physical. All areas you can work on yourself. The first one is spiritual. Reading your Bible every day, praying, involving God in all your decisions, listening to sermons, worship. You can do things to actively work on your spiritual life. I think the biggest one is probably reading the Bible. That's where we get our spiritual food from every day. I know, like for me, I sometimes I don't get to the Bible, which is really bad because that's me saying I'm not making God a priority. So recently, I've been working on myself to make God a priority because I can't remember what I was listening to or what I was watching, but someone said, what you dedicate your time to shows what you care about. I don't remember where I got that from, but it stuck with me. And so I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, I really am not making God the biggest priority, because if I'm choosing schoolwork over consuming spiritual food, it's not a priority. Clearly, I prioritize school over doing my devotion or dwelling on a certain verse. So I've actively tried to, no matter what's happening, no matter how stressed I am, no matter what's going on in my life, to make it a priority. I'll stop what I'm doing and just pick up the Bible and start reading. And that's me working on myself to improve on my spiritual life by making God a priority. The second category is mental health. The biggest killer of mental health, in my opinion, is your phone, is social media, content. It's anything on the internet, basically. Now, I'm not saying the internet's bad or anything. everything in moderation. I see way too people nowadays addicted to their phones, which I used to be, and I'm trying to break the habit. I feel like right now I spend too much time on my phone sometimes. At home, that's the biggest one. At home, I spend a little too much time, and I'm actively bettering myself and actively trying to get away from that, because it's not really that healthy. The way social media and everything works, it's not really the best for you, and it's not really the best way to spend your time. I remember I used to spend hours a day on Instagram because I would just be scrolling, I'd be talking to someone, I'd be posting my story. I'd spend so much time on it. But then, when I got saved, I was like, wow, this is kind of a waste of time. So I tried to distance myself from my phone. I actively worked on myself to try to spend less time on social media. Now, I probably spend a total of an hour a day on Instagram. I think less. Let's see what Instagram says. Okay, so my daily average is 37 minutes. Not bad. I would like to make that 10 minutes, because it's just kind of a waste of time. I use social media to promote my podcast and to talk to certain people and to share things with people. But when I'm on my phone, I'm like, sometimes I'm actively checking, oh, has someone texted me? Oh, who has seen my story? Oh, who's liked my post? Which is very unhealthy habits, because it releases chemicals the wrong way, and it's just not good for you. And I think it destroys people's mental health, because when you are addicted to your phone, or addicted to anything for a matter of fact, you're like shackled down. And my goal in life is to not be set back, or to not have anything I have to rely on except for God. Of course you can rely on people somewhat and everything, but I want God to be the one I think about. I want God to be the one that I rely on the most. And also like what you consume, what you watch, the shows you watch, what you watch on the internet like YouTube or TikTok or whatever. It'll affect you without you realizing it, because you could be consuming the wrong information. You could be consuming the wrong thoughts, especially with like TV shows nowadays. They portray the wrong. The biggest one is they portray how relationships work terribly. The way a relationship works on a TV show is not real, true, or based at all. I mean, it's like, especially romantic relationships, like TV shows get them completely wrong. If I had that type of relationship, I would hate my life, because it just does not seem fruitful or healthy at all. So, working on your mental health, that's big thing. You want to make sure you're keeping your mind healthy by what you consume. The biggest one I'm working on right now is I'm trying to stop consuming so much content in general, and just getting away from my computer or my phone and reading. I've realized that I spend too much time watching shows when I could be reading a book that could be helping me in a certain area. Like right now, I just picked up The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. Loving it. Such a good book. It's been very insightful. It's about this older devil writing to a younger apprentice. It's really good. I do recommend it. I haven't finished it yet, but it's really good. So I'm trying to move away from spending a lot of time on my phone watching stuff, or on my computer watching stuff, and reading and consuming good information that's going to be helpful mentally. And the last category I have is physical. This is like exercising, eating right, and taking care of your body in general. Now, here's the thing with physical healthiness. It'll also increase your mental health. Honestly, they go hand in hand. When you don't get enough sleep, you're angry, you're groggy, you get easily aggravated. When you're hungry, same thing, you're hangry. When you eat the wrong food, you feel sluggish. You'll feel lazy. You'll want to sleep. You'll want to waste your time doing stuff that doesn't require energy. So I personally, because I used to be really big, I was kind of fat. Once I started exercising, I was like, wow, I feel so much better throughout the day, and my mental health improved, and I started being more busy, and I had more energy to be more busy. So whenever you take care of, whenever you you can improve on your physical health. And I think that's a big thing, especially, I want to say in America, but that's kind of a stereotype, is people are just super unhealthy, and it affects other parts of their lives. Like, you see really big people nowadays, and how does that affect their life? Well, they can't go to certain places. They can't sit in certain seats. Some people can't even drive cars because of it. So it's important to better yourself in those areas to make sure you don't fall into those other bad habits. And I think when you're actively working in all these areas of your life to better yourself and try to honor and glorify God in all those areas, you feel and you reach points where you've accomplished what you were trying to do. Whenever I was finally able to, not spend so much time on Instagram, I wasn't even thinking about it or whatever. I was like, wow, I feel so much better. I feel like I'm not wasting as much time. That feeling is amazing because you know that God's pleased with you, you're pleased with yourself, and you accomplished something and did something. And I think it's something you have to do your whole life. You're never gonna finish getting better, or not. You're never gonna finish bettering yourself. You're never gonna finish working on yourself. But I think that's part of it that is so awesome, is that you will never reach perfection. You will always have to be working on yourself. And sometimes it's gonna be hard, but I think it increases your dependency on God for sure. Because like sometimes there's been times where I'm like, man, I'm spending way too much time watching this show. And you have to just be like, God, help me to just forget about this and focus on something that's more important. It all goes back to God in the end. In my notes here, I write notes for the podcast. The end goal is to get closer to God and be more like Jesus. Basically your end goal. And then there's, what are the benefits of bettering yourself constantly? You learn more about yourself, both your godly and sinful self. It drives you and it builds your character, teaches you things about life and God. Just is kind of throw up of information right there. But, after talking about all that, after bringing up bettering yourself, and I want to get real. I want to get life principles application real. How can you right now begin bettering yourself permanently? And I don't mean like, oh, I don't spend as much time on my phone. Awesome. That's cool. Love that for myself, and just continue life as is. How can you begin to permanently start bettering yourself? Well, we have the three categories: spiritually, mentally, and physically. Let's start with spiritually. How can you better yourself in your spiritual life? Pick up the Bible more. It'll teach you things. It'll inspire you. It will drive you. If you pick up the Bible more, your spiritual life will get better. And you can, I would encourage you in the morning to just pick up your phone. Don't go on social media. Click the Bible app. Do your devotion first thing, as the first thing you do, or as after you shower, or while you're eating your breakfast, as the first thing you do and consume. If you can get that down to where you can do it every morning as an automatic function, it's going to benefit you. You're going to feel closer to God. You're going to feel better throughout the day because you started your day off with learning about God and consuming His Word and hearing about Him, right? So that's honestly, it's a really good step. And from then on, you can find ways you can consume more spiritual food and to work on your relationship with God daily. Mentally. As I talked about earlier, get off your phone. Especially around other people. Guys, I can't encourage this enough, and I can't believe how many times I see it in everyday life. It's really bad to take your phone out when you're around people. In some cases, there's an exception, sure, but whenever you're socializing and hanging out with other people, having your phone out is really bad, because you'll create a handicap for yourself, where if you feel uncomfortable or anxious or there's conflict going on, you'll feel the tendency to take out your phone and to use that as a crutch, as to just feel better and be able to avoid anything like that. Here's how to better yourself mentally with that is, whenever you're around people, make a decision to put your phone away and to keep it in your pocket and only take it out if you think someone messaged you or it's something important. At first, it's going to be hard because I used to take out my phone all the time. Be like every 5 minutes taking my phone. At first, it's going to be hard, but then after you work on yourself on it and you get used to it, you'll realize how much you're missing and how much better you'll be at socializing and interacting with people. And you won't need that crutch anymore. You'll just get better at it. You can also work on yourself mentally with, making sure you're consuming stuff that's good for your brain. Not looking at porn, not listening to music that's going to encourage you to kill people and smoke weed and do drugs and stuff like that, right? So there's multiple steps you can take to improve yourself mentally. I think the biggest one is phones. And if you don't have a phone problem, congrats. Find another way. Maybe you're consuming the wrong type of content or something. And then physically, how do you better yourself physically? I think something important that everybody should do is exercise on a regular basis. Doesn't matter how skinny you are. Doesn't matter if if you're like, well, I'm happy with my weight, I'm blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Try to exercise twice a week for like 15 to 30 minutes. It will improve. It will help you out so much. Not only will you become healthier and you'll feel better, but you're going to feel clearer mentally. And during say maybe your exercise is running, you can pray while you're running. I've done it. It's awesome and I love it. You can involve God in everything you do, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and that's one of them. You can work on yourself to try to exercise more. I think the biggest one, the one I can encourage the most, is eating healthy. At my school, I have some friends, and in the beginning of the year, they probably weren't eating the best stuff. It wasn't terrible, but it was probably not super good for them. And I kept bringing, healthier food to school, and I'd encourage them. I'd be like, guys, you need to eat this because it's good. Healthy food can be really good. So now all of us, one of them is off soda now and eating a lot better, and you just feel better, and it'll improve your mental clarity as well as you'll feel more energetic and you'll be able to be more productive. And maybe like when you're too tired to read the Bible, you won't be too tired anymore. You want to constantly work on yourself, as I said before. So when you do start exercising, if you do start improving on your physical health, then maybe step it up 3 times a week, or get off or stop eating as much sugar or whatever. It's never stops, and you can always get better at it. And I think it's important to never stop. So, approaching the end, I've talked about almost everything I've wanted to. So some final thoughts. I'll probably repeat some. I'll end up repeating some, but never stop working on yourself. Never stop bettering yourself, because I've noticed, especially once I stop trying to improve on a certain part of my life, especially if it's spiritual, mental, or physical, I get lazy. And I don't even think about it, and I forget about it, and I'm like, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like trash when I've been eating trash all week? Why do I not feel as close to God when I haven't read my Bible in a week? Why do I think about this show I've been watching when all I've been doing is watching it? It's kind of like that. You don't want to ever. Now, I'm not saying you always constantly have to be on the grind to work on yourself. You can't, everything in moderation. You should take breaks. You shouldn't be solely focused on bettering yourself, and that when you don't, you're messed up and your life's over. No, everything in moderation. I've fallen into that where I'm like, oh, I didn't exercise 6 times a week this week. I can't believe I did that. I'm going to have to step it up to 7 next week. Like, no. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay. It needs to be gradual and healthy. You can't overdo it, but don't underdo it either. And, you want to keep motivated. Motivation's a big thing. The Bible will give you plenty of motivation. And especially I know a big motivation for me is when I'm around other people. I want them to change as well. And so I work on myself so that they see that and they are encouraged to change. One thing I do want, as one of my final thoughts I want to mention is it's good to be proud of the progress you have made, but don't always focus on the good. Try to see what you're doing wrong. Look at yourself, because self-evaluation, you got to do at least once a week. You got to see how your week went, what you did wrong, what you did well, but also what you did wrong. Me and my friends, we started this breakfast fundraiser at my school, and we had to meet a businessman. His name was Bill Winters. Something that's really stuck with me was, what am I doing wrong? When you ask that question, you'll find what you're doing wrong, and you can take that and begin to improve on it yourself. You can take that and work on it. And when you do that, you evaluate yourself, and you can continue to better yourself every day. Closing thought, guys, just work on yourself. It's a big thing. I feel like not enough people talk about it. I feel like the thing nowadays to be is be okay with yourself. You are who you are. You don't have to change for anybody. No, you got to change for God. You got to change your habits. You got to change, God will change you, and he will help you, and he will, I think the biggest thing about it is your dependency on God will increase as you try to do better, because you won't be able to do it without him. You just won't. So, that's it. That's what I think about bettering yourself. And that's what I feel like God has helped me bring to you. So I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for listening. I hope, something I said maybe will stick with you, or maybe you just get to see a different perspective. Thank you everybody for joining in on episode 2. I'm so excited to continue this podcast. The next episode will hopefully have a guest in it. I won't tell you who yet. It's not anybody you're probably going to know, but it's going to be really good. It might be a slightly longer episode because it's going to be 2 people instead of just me talking to myself. It's going to be really cool. Thank you for everybody for stopping by. Please share with your friends if you enjoy it, and I will see you in episode 3. See ya.